Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Expanded Guide. This week, myself, Travis, and Russell are here to talk about Patrice, which is fitting because one of the decks we're going to talk about is a Cat Lady deck for Patrice.
Yeah.
So Patrice, she is the survivor. She's 4/2/2/2 for all of her stats. Her maximum hand size is reduced by 3, so her maximum hand size is 5. And then during each upkeep phase, instead of drawing one card, discard all non-weakness cards until you have 5 cards in hand. Their Held-Time effect is after this test ends, you may shuffle all but one card from your discard pile into your deck. Her deck building is Survivor 0/5, Mystic 0/2, and of course Neutral 0/5. Her signature is Patrice's Violin. It's a 2-cost hand slot asset. As a lightning bolt, you can choose and discard one card from your hand and exhaust Patrice's Violin. Choose an investigator location to either gain one resource or draw a card. It's a very nice signature. It's very, very helpful, and it can help whoever needs it at the time when it shows up. Yeah. Her signature weakness is Watcher from Another Dimension. This is an extra-dimensional monster. He has Peril, Hidden, and Hunter. His revelation is you secretly add this enemy to your hand. You may fight or evade this enemy while it is in your hand, as if it was at your location. If you succeed, discard it from your hand. If you fail, spawn it engaged with you. Forced, when your deck runs out of cards, if this enemy is in your hand, it attacks you.
Just don't fail the test.
I've seen it happen, and it really throws a wrench in things. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like, ooh.
Yeah. Oh no. So Patrice's strengths, as you can see here, she has absurd draw economy. She draws 5 cards every turn.
That's a lot of cards.
Yeah, that's it's just always just refreshing. You can get tons of value out of it. It does make her playstyle a little bit tricky sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you can't do the normal things. As we get to some of the cards on this list, thanks Russ. As we get to some of the cards on this list, we're gonna with water protection. You can't really play with water protection the same way that you would play with other investigators as you would with Patrice.
No.
She also has a great card pool. She has Survivor and Mystics, and she can really take advantage of them and do a lot of cool things with it.
Mm-hmm. Both those classes are very powerful, low-level cards.
Yeah.
And single-shot effects.
Yeah. Her weaknesses is her stat line is kind of meh. There are ways that you can take advantage of it.
Yeah. You actually get less stat points than most investigators.
Yeah, well, it's because
considerably.
You draw so much. Thanks, Russ. You draw so many cards to, in theory, make up for it, and I think you do once you do get all set up.
Once you're
thanks for the
rolling.
But the other weakness is that you may see your weaknesses multiple times. There are tons of ways to mitigate this, and by that I mean you catastrophe, and then also draw the Elder Sign. Yeah.
And Quantum Flux.
Yeah, that slows it down at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can kind of play against it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that you can see your weaknesses a few times. One thing as well that's kind of weird with Patrice is that when you draw your hand of 5 cards, you draw them all at the same time, essentially. So you draw your 5 cards, then if you have a weakness in your hand that has a revelation effect that doesn't add it to your hand, you'll have 4 cards for the next turn.
Yeah, you have to finish resolving the entirety of that effect before you can do other things.
Yeah. So we have a bunch of cards we're going to talk about Patrice.
Another thing's really weird about Patrice before we move on.
Yeah.
So they reduced her maximum hand size by 3. Why?
You know what? I'm going to wager it's just because then you're like, oh yeah, my number's 5, right? It's just
I think that in development, at one point, she got to draw up to the maximum cards.
Could you imagine?
Maximum
that would be
size.
Juicy. Well, she has 42 cards in her deck.
That would be juicy.
So that would be 5 turns. You do a cycle. That would be kind of spicy.
I hate myself for suggesting this, but versatile in yellow cards increase your hand size.
Yeah.
And then you're just check out my stupid. Not lab. Is it a laboratory system that increases your hand size?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the science one that gets you a clue. Art student.
Yeah.
Then you just get to draw 7 cards a turn.
Yeah. Be spicy.
It's just that's weird to me.
Yeah, it's also there's some. I always love when you play a campaign with hidden cards. Patrice hates it. Mm-hmm. If you play a campaign in her cycle where she came out, Dream Eaters, there's a card that reduces your max hand size by 3, and then if you draw a card, it checks it. So that's can kind of be.
Suck. That campaign sucks for Patrice.
Yeah. One thing is though, as we talk and get further into this, is that Patrice plays all these cards very differently. So we're going to touch on them as we get to them, because there's a lot we can say about Patrice, but it's easier when we get the cards in front of us. So Travis, why don't you start with the core set?
We have a Holy Rosaries, and this one actually performs the same function as it does for other investigators. Patrice really only has one stat to care about because the amount of effort that it takes to get your 2 stats up to a real number isn't worth it as a general rule. So you're focusing almost entirely on brain. And this is a cheap and easy way to get there. Shriveling is one of the ways that we take advantage of the brain score. Find that in the spell video. As usual, all those videos are in the description.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah. The YouTube speech, yeah.
Yeah, like, there's a few things... There's 2 main things that you're looking to take advantage of as Patrice. One of them is your brain score as your real stat, and the other one is, like, getting use of all 5 of those cards every turn.
Yeah.
So assets, like, a little bit lower on the totem pole for her than they are for other mystics because they cost so much money.
Yes.
And they also tend to not commit for brain... At least the spell assets tend to not commit for brain symbols.
Yeah, they usually commit for what they do.
Yeah. Which is a garbage stat for you. So, Drawn to the Flame is a fantastic card for Patrice. You get to play lots of cards like Ward of Protection and Deny Existence, and Lucky or Test of Will or whatever that let you eat the encounter deck. And this is a great way to make sure that you're getting use out of one of those cards as well as getting 2 clues without having to use any of your bad skill numbers.
Yeah.
War of Protection is the first of those cards protect you from the encounter deck. Normally, you hold on to this as Patrice, or as other purple investigators, to eat ancient evils.
Yes. Yeah.
Or like something particularly crippling to you. But for Patrice, you just play it on whatever you draw that turn.
Basically the first window, or like if you had like a Drawn to Flame in your hand, you can hold it back for that next one.
Yeah.
Or, use it as a wild, too, if,
Yeah, like, this is one of the few times that you shouldn't feel guilty about committing these cards.
Because your other option is, like, discard it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You want to use the cards in your hand.
Yeah. We have Cunning Distraction. This one here is, like, the 5 money. Generally, cards that cost a lot of resources are very tough for Patrice. Because she cycles through, or at least you don't want to have too many of them. As well as situational cards like this one are rough for her because there's no guarantee you're going to have them on the turn that you want to use them. Whereas for most investigators, you can just hold them in your hand. But this one commits for 2 brain.
Yeah. So, like, if it ever works out like that, the stars align, and you just get it perfectly at the right moment, you have the money, there's a bunch of enemies, and you save the day, everyone's like, holy shit, Patrice, you're a god. Otherwise, you're going to boost your relevant stat, or help someone else boost a stat that they're using.
Yeah, it also has a wild, so you can throw it at someone else's test.
Yeah.
Which is a big part of playing Patrice as well.
Yeah.
Look what I found. Fantastic card for her. You cannot commit to 2 books for someone else's skill test, your Seeker's test, to get them extra value or deduction or whatever. Or you can just investigate something that's got a Shroud value too, and then get 2 clues. Lucky, again, like similar reasoning to War of Protection, where you just throw this at whatever you can. If we're being honest, this card is like nowhere near as good in Patrice as it is in other investigators, but it's still a solid inclusion. Flashlight is fine. It is a way to get use out of your book score on those 2 Shroud locations. Something that's like, it's one of the few ways you do have to actually get use out of those kind of garbage 2s.
Yeah.
And Emergency Cash is just, you need money to play your stuff.
Yeah.
And it's... Economy cards like this one are nice for Patrice compared as a general rule, for purple investigators, you'd rather be playing something like Uncage the Soul because of the action compression, but Emergency Cash, you can just play it whenever. And then you just get your resources.
Yeah, and that's what's really nice with Patrice is that, like, you're going to want to take advantage of your hand, and that might mean just, like, stockpiling resources for the future, and eCash helps you do that.
Yep.
We have all the skills. All of them. Because she can use all of them. She could.
Or someone else can.
Or someone else can if she can't. The draw a card to replace itself is less good in Patrice than it is with others. However, still like using a Guts or a Manual Dex to help through the Mythos phase and then turn it into something else is good.
Yeah, especially in the early game, if you're like trying to dig for your cornered or your violin or whatever, it's kind of nice to have someone else go first and you just throw this at one of their tests.
Yeah, exactly like that with the perception. You're like, hey, Kluver, you go first. And then I'm going to just kind of like see if I can draw on something better that I can use this turn.
Yeah, these aren't necessarily like +2 to a relevant test. They're just +2 to a test that someone at your location is making, and you get a different card.
And the thing about Patrice is that you're kind of like scrappy. Like you're gonna like she's like a true survivor character. You're kind of just like looking at your 5 cards and being like, how can I sequence this best to take the most advantage of my 5 resources?
Play as many of these as possible.
Exactly. Yeah, and that
Can't
includes
get anything out of these.
Yeah, that includes even committing it to skill tests or discarding it to some more powerful cards that we'll see coming up.
Absolutely.
Unexpected Courage. It's like the other ones.
Fantastic card. So good for Patrice, actually.
Because it's always available.
Yeah,
always
normally
active.
this card's like filler,
Yeah.
but like it is so good for Patrice.
Yeah. We have Blinding Light 0 and Blinding Light 2. This is an evasion attempt that uses your brain. As Travis said, the spells, we're going to see a lot of those as we keep going because it's her 4 stat. This allows you to evade and also deal damage to the enemy that was just evaded. Also, this is going to sound like a little bit mean, but I do think that Patrice's actions are worth less than other investigators. So losing an action on this one isn't like too big of a deal. Yeah.
Something else, like theory-wise, I think that is interesting about Patrice compared to other investigators is normally look at the symbols on something like Mind Wipe or Blinding Light and be like, I'd rather this is 2 brain.
Yes.
But from Patrice, that flexibility is a lot more important, and you would almost rather have these cards being 1/1 because then you can get anything out of them out of the turn that they would otherwise be dead. You're throwing
definitely.
it to like your goon's fight test or whatever.
Yeah. And then that is actually very true because, like, as going back to that previous point, get the most out of your cards that you can. Mind Wipe, it's a 1 cost, 1 experience. You can just treat a non-elite enemy's text box as if it was blank.
Yeah, it's just like a card you can put in your Patrice deck.
Yeah, and it is. Like it has some tech uses. It can get rid of Retaliate during the enemy phase, and it's just another example of taking advantage of cards that are in your deck.
Yeah, like you're not going to be playing your big spell and getting lots of use out of it for the most part. You're going to be getting like a little bit of use out of 5 different cards.
Yes. Yeah. That's kind of like just Patrice.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Get a little bit of use out of everything. What do you got?
Dunwich. You got Rite of Seeking. This is your bread and butter investigating spell. Like Justin said, you throw in all your actions, whatever. You just commit your cards to people's tests, I guess.
Yeah, and then also a notable thing is you're going to see much later in the video, like probably nearly an hour from now, Rite of Seeking is like one of the few that get a level 2 upgrade, apart from like the Mists of Rilla, right?
Yeah.
So this one is like, this is why you see Patrice kind of fall more on the Kluver side of the flex, but she is a very good flex.
Yeah, she is. We have Rituals Canals next. This is a nice solid hand slot item as an interim until you get your violin down, because don't get me wrong, you want the violin. She is a good enough musician to play with one hand, incredibly. You want that in play all the time. It's very good for her. But this is just a nice way to help you push you over some tests with your mediocre skill scores. Pete Sylvester is nothing special for Patrice, but still good.
Yeah. Yeah,
especially
basically
the upgrade version with the +1 brain.
Yeah, it's basically the not die and then the level 2 version that gives you more brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like Agnes level synergies where, keeps you alive.
Yeah, he's just normal good.
Just a normal good card.
Yeah. Gotta delve too deep. This one's like very fun. You draw it and you just get to fire it off. And you're like, I was gonna discard it otherwise, it's not my fault, guys.
Yeah, you're like, sorry, we're gonna go. You're like, okay, we're going. Because it's like a ticking time bomb. Yeah.
Yeah, the experience is like slightly less valuable for Patrice than other investigators, I think, to a certain extent. She doesn't have those big mystic spells that she needs to upgrade into, and Survivor stuff is... they definitely have more options now, but still like a so-so.
No, you still finish your deck pretty quick.
Yeah. Rise to the Occasion is actually a card that does not have many homes, but this is one of them. Sometimes you will not have the option to make a brain test. The game will tell you that you have to take a book, fist, or foot test.
Yep.
And this is a nice way of being able to get over some of those.
Yes.
Or get you up to... You're rarely going to use it alone. Quite often you're going to like commit this and also manual dexterity or something, so you're more than one over.
Yeah.
But it is a nice way to just like bridge that gap.
Yeah.
Dark Horse +1 to all your stats means that your brain is great and your other things are solid.
Serviceable, yeah.
Yeah. You can you're not terrified or you're not scared about investing other things into them. Patrice is a solid Dark Horse investigator. I think she has an easy time of finding them. And she does get value out of the stat boosts, like all of the stat boosts, because she's playing so many wild and just random skill icons.
Yep.
That she can boost them up to, like Justin says, serviceable amounts. Fire Axe plays into that. It's a good dark horse weapon. You get to hit things with the axe.
I've never done dark. I mean, I actually making this guide. I was like, I think I want to play Patrice the next time we do. The three of us do, and I want to do a Patrice deck.
Dark horse Patrice. We have Bind Monster. This is a card that you can just use your brains to have another skill for. Is most of it. It does give you like a way to use your brain symbols on turns when you don't draw a card that they're relevant for. Yeah, it's a nice way of dealing with something like it's like a crappy handcuffs, I guess.
Yeah.
But it can hit anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's upgrade P again.
Yeah. We got Flare. This gives you +3 fist, deals +2 damage. It's just like a little panic button that you can do. It also is a wild if you don't have like a target for it, and it also can help dig out an ally from yours or another investigator's
This
deck.
card has so much flexibility. It's actually absurd for Patrice.
Yeah, and that's the key to this as well. Right?
Yeah, like it puts you up to 5 punch.
Yep.
Which like it doesn't take much more to be like very happy about your punch score, but even on 5, that's enough to kill most 3 health enemies.
I mean, it's also like a combo with this. Like, if you just have, like, for some reason, Core, Dream Eaters, and Dunwich, you could rise to the occasion, flare a boss. Right?
Yeah.
Because, like, then you get +6, so you're at 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that is, like, once again, like, Patrice can't have these combos, like, she just has to, like, happen across them. She's like, egads, it's happened, right? So just something to be aware of with
You
Patrice.
just gotta play the game, and sometimes things work out.
Yeah. Relic Hunter and Charisma, if you want to have 2 accessory slots or 2 allies in play.
The accessory
Staples.
slot is very relevant for Patrice, I think.
Yeah. Stroke of Luck, it allows you to, after revealing the Chaos tokens, you can exile it to automatically succeed, unless an auto-fail token was revealed. Wow. They really changed their thought process on that, huh, as the game went on.
I mean, the card's very solid for Patrice.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's just like a little button that you can just press to pass if you need to. And if you don't, you can just put in your discard pile and draw it again and try again later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Try again. After you fail a skill test, you can return a card committed to your hand. One thing that's nice about Patrice with this one is, I'm going to also just interrupt my own thought and say 2 brain as well if things don't go that way. But also that if you like only run one of these cards, you can just set it and then ultimately kind of just forget about it.
Yeah.
Right? And you won't see it again on future go through your decks, which is really nice. And it allows you to potentially be more likely to see a card like the Red Gloved Man, which you want to see multiple times, which Patrice is able to do.
Yeah. Patrice is also very good at running like one-of assets and cards that you want to see, because you will see them.
Yep.
You start with 42 cards, and then you can see 10 in your opening hand, in theory. I guess it's like 45, 45 including signatures and weaknesses.
Yeah, 45 decks.
So you have 35 left, so then that's like 7 turns at most.
Yeah.
Till you see it.
Yeah.
Not including either card draw.
Red Glove Man, he just sets your skills to 6. Two of them. Oh, no, it's each... Yeah, you choose 2. You choose 2. And you set them to 6 for a phase.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the Mythos phase, you discard them. Always in play. Yeah. All right, on to Carcosa. Is that 18? Yeah.
We are Uncaged Soul here. This is another one of those economy cards. Commits for 2 brains. Playing a spell or ritual from your hand, reducing its cost by 3 is nice. And... again, like a little less flexible than the emergency cache is, but still fine. Astral Travel is just like one of those niche spells that commit for some symbols. You can sometimes they're good, man.
Yeah, no, and Astral Travel is also like a perfect one of. Like, odds are that you're not going to want to move when you draw it, but the moment you do, you're going to like, ooh, that sugar tastes sweet.
Yeah, I mean, like sometimes you're even just like, I'll just play this and move. Like an extra space or whatever.
And then if you don't, it's just also it's also just symbols. And actually, to what you're saying, even just moving 2 spaces, Patrice hates moving, right? Yeah. Because there's a lot of investigators who are okay with moving, but Amanda and Patrice fucking hate taking a move action, right? Because that means it's less likely for you to be able to use all of your resources that you have this turn. And Astral Travel, even if it moves you like 2 spaces, you probably got enough out of that the card actually did something.
Yeah. We got David Renfield. He has a nice way to get resources and give you that +1 brain, that stat that you care about. Then we have the desperate skills here. These are all commit for 4 to a skill test of their respective type, and you can only commit if you have 3 or fewer remaining sanity. It's pretty easy to be stable in sanity at 3, due to red's myriad ways to never die, and purple's healing effects. It's pretty easy to be comfortable there, and then like you have a whole bunch of cards to protect you from the Mythos deck in case things go horribly wrong, to get used out of these. So then the question becomes, how do you get down to 3 sanity, like, so that these are relevant? And it's actually a lot easier than you think.
Yeah. You could do it with just the start of the scenario.
Yeah, start of scenario 1.
Yep.
Yeah, you can just show up with your 2 arcane researches for 2 mental trauma, and then pick in the thick of it.
Yeah, for 2 more mental trauma
too.
Yeah. So that puts you down to 4 mental trauma, and these are on turn, like on turn 1. Yeah.
Turn 1, scenario 1. You just have 3 sanity.
Yep.
A little dangerous, but fun.
Oh yeah, no, very fun. Yeah.
Yeah, probably consider Pete as your ally.
Do you know what we should do? We should do even if it's just a standalone where we all build desperate decks, and we just kind of like.
Maybe that could be the next deck building thing.
Yeah, could just be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. We got Storm of Spirits here. This is another like niche-ish spell. When it's great, but most of the time it's gonna be like a brain or a punch symbol, or you attack something for 2. Then we have Quantum Flux. This card is uniquely good for Patrice. It commits for wild, which is very nice. For any test anyone's making. But also you get to shuffle your discard pile into your deck and draw a card. The drawing a card is pretty whatever for it, but shuffling your discard pile into your deck can be very relevant for Patrice, especially when you get one of these in the later half of the scenario after you've dealt with a weakness or 2 and they're in your discard pile, or rather before you've found them, you can have them in your deck. So you have 10 cards left and one of them's a weakness. You have 1 weakness in your discard pile, but like 30 cards in your discard pile.
Yep.
You just shuffle them back in because then it delays drawing that second weakness that much longer.
Yeah, and even there's I've seen people playing Patrice where like the deck is running out, they haven't had a chance to deal with a Watcher yet, and they're just like, I'm gonna just reset this clock and not even think about it.
Yeah.
Right.
If that happens, it happens, but like make the odds better that won't.
Yeah. Continuing Carcosa, we have the St. Hubert's Key, gives you brain and book and -2 sanity. This is another way to get your desperate skills going if you wanted to not take 4 mental trauma. You have to work for it a little bit.
Like a baby.
And then if you would be defeated by horror, you could discard it and heal 2 horror. So just bump up some skills, most importantly the brain. However, 3 book is serviceable on like 1 and 2 shroud locations, especially with the skill cards that you're going to be committing from it with your hand.
And 5 brain's a happy place to be.
Yeah. Spirit of Thame, you can bump up skills on your skill value for spell cards, which is like what you're probably going to be using your brain for most likely. But you can also fight with it at 4 against small enemies.
Yeah, that's like fine for trying like that plus a skill card to deal with cultist or just killing off rats or whatever.
Yeah. Test of Will, it's ward of protection in red.
Yes.
A chance encounter is actually the very crucial part of a combo deck that we're going to be talking about with Patrice coming up in the near future.
I put that in here.
So this is going to have reference to Summoned Hound, which is a way to put into play without getting the evil doggy in your deck, which is very nice in Patrice. You can obviously use it on other allies, but it's very notable in here with Patrice because of the Summoned Hound combo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ward of Protection 2. This was even nicer than Ward of Protection 0 because you can fire it off even easier.
Yeah, like I like upgrading my Ward of Protections to 2 in any Investigator when I play with 3 or 4 people. But I think it's that much better for Patrice because you're just that much more likely to get value out of your wards. And
if you've taken 2 arcane researches, you can just do one of them for free in the first 2 scenarios.
Yeah.
Look at that value. We have Time Warp, which I think is honestly kind of really fun as an idea in Patrice because it's kind of just like, I'm rewinding time, I don't care. There's something slightly bad has happened. I'm rewinding time.
You're like walking at that way, so someone stubs their toe on the door and you're like...
No, do it again! It basically just undoes an action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Newspaper, it gets +2 book wall if you have no clues, and when you discover one or more clues at your location. If you have no clues, discover an additional clue at your location. This is really nice for a flex Patrice. It's also really nice for a flex Patrice that's leaning more into combat, because then you can just like grab your 2 clues and then just be like, I'm here to just whack people with my fire axe.
Yeah.
In fighting, Play with the enemy who's against. Cancel attacks made by non-elite enemies against you this phase. Wow, it's like a dodge, but like super dodge. What this one is kind of neat is that this one, if you have it during your turn, it's a perception or a manual dex. If you draw it,
figured it out.
Yeah. And then like if you also can like hold this one back as well to just be a dodge if need be. You can like engage an enemy and be like, don't worry about this guy this turn.
Yeah, it's like a little expensive experience wise, but it's solid for what's it called? Like a supporting Patrice,
Yeah.
or it's similar to the kind distraction, where it just sometimes it's gonna work out for you. You're gonna be like, yes,
Yeah,
and it like makes the game for you. But most of the time, you're just like, hey, I just get to someone else gets to investigate too better. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got Kivy's, which is good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, on to the Forgotten Age.
Yeah, Miserere lets you evade with your brain instead of your foot, and comes with has the level 2 upgrade, which is particularly important for Patrice. She can actually play it. Then we have a series of these improvised skills. These are pretty nice for Patrice. They all allow you to, they all cost 1. You can play them all from your discard pile, and if you do, you shuffle them into your deck after resolving their effects. And then they each let you do fight, evade, or investigate. The fight one, the enemy gets -1 fight, and if you play it from your discard pile, then the attack deals an extra damage. The evade one, if you play from your discard pile, you get to evade an additional enemy with some caveat. And the winging it lets you get an additional clue, which is like, whew.
Yeah.
They do require you to use like your actual stat for them, which can be a little tough, and they don't commit for anything. But at the same time, these are cards that you don't mind letting get discarded or discarding to other effects, and then you can still, if you have like a weaker hand where you need to like actually do something with your cards, but all you have is a bunch of just random skill symbols, this lets you like get a little bit more out of those.
Hell yeah.
Last Chance, fantastic card for Patrice. Commits for 5 wild, and only do a skill test, no other cards committed to it. Other cards can't be committed to the skill test, and it loses a wild for each card in your hand. You're looking to empty your hand every turn as Patrice anyway. So this is just like +5 to a skill test that someone is doing this turn.
Yeah. Or even like just like this is not even like a hard combo to set up. If winging it's in your discard pile, you could just like as your last action get like a billion clues.
Yeah.
By a billion I mean 2, but still.
Also very good with impromptu barrier because it cares about the amount you succeed by, like a green card.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. No, that's sick.
You know, like I played Patrice not too long ago with my family. I played Last Chance in it, and that card was like every time I drew it, I was like, yeah,
nice.
This is like Promise of Power or better.
Yeah.
Arcane Research, we talked about a little bit before. It's Arcane Research, like.
Yeah, she has less spells to upgrade into, but we've already seen a few here. We've seen Blinding Light, we've seen Mists, we've seen Rite of Seeking, we've seen Ward of Protection.
Yeah, they exist.
Yeah, they exist.
Sorry.
Oh, because really you only need 7 cards that you can upgrade to get value out of.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is not hard when you have 42 cards in your fucking deck.
No, there's a lot of cards. Usually if I'm building a Patrice deck, I get to like 30 odd cards, and I'm like, well.
Yeah. Time to play Premonition.
Yeah, welcome to the team Premonition, and get some guts in here and some overpower, I guess.
Yep.
Then we got Perseverance next. This one commits for 2 brains, and sometimes you don't die.
Yep.
Great flex card. Yeah. Olive McBride is one of those ally options for you. She can soak 3 brain damage and 1 heart. And when you reveal a Chaos token, you can also reveal 3 instead of 1. Choose 2 of those to resolve and ignore the other. One of the big reasons for playing Olive in Patrice is there's a fair amount of mystic stuff that she can play where, like, you care about which symbol token you draw. Mm-hmm. Like, you actively want to draw one of the symbol tokens.
Yeah.
And this is a solid way to ensure that. We have Premonition. This is a card that you just throw out into the game, and then you see what happens.
Yep.
It's just a card that you will get use from every time you draw it, however negligible the use is.
Yeah, Patrice is probably one of the few investigators that I'll still, like, always run this in, just because it's just, like, it's value for her hand, right? It's just, like, this card always does something.
Yep, doesn't even cost you an action.
Yeah. Alright, let's keep the Forgotten Age going. We got Live and Learn. After a skill test you failed ends. Do it again, baby! And you get +2 skill value for the test. I like it in Patrice because it's just like, do it again, baby.
Any card that commits for a while, I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, goes up in value too. Yeah, very true.
Yeah. This also plays very well with some of the fail by effects.
Yep. We have Take Card here. You can use this on yourself to draw 2 more cards or gain 2 resources, but it's also good to just like, hey, Rogue, doing this Rotting Remains, let's soften the blow a bit, right?
There's like some cards and resources, and they're like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah. And you're like, not with that attitude. And they're like, no.
I have 2 sanity left, I'm gonna die.
So it's, it's just like, you can use it on yourself, but also the versatility of being able to use it on other people is very good as well. We have Yodel here, which is another ally choice you can use. The nice thing about Patrice is that, like, she doesn't really have, like, an ally that she needs to play with, right? Like,
yeah, lots of investigators have an ally where you look at them and you're like, you two go together.
Yeah. With Patrice, you can go a multitude of different ways, which makes her such an exciting investigator. So, Yodel, you can, during a skill test as a lightning bolt, you can, you get the bonus to each skill equal to the number of matching skill icons on the top card of your discard pile, not counting wild icons.
Luckily, when you discard cards to effect, you get to pick the order they go to your discard, though.
So sick. One thing that I hope we see one day is an upgraded Yodel that doesn't care about wild icons, just to like,
just lets you do wilds. That would be pretty sick for like 3 or 4 experience.
Yeah, I think yeah. And then you can also discard the top card of your deck, which is a super flex if you discard the Watcher. Oh my god.
Yeah, if you ever have a weakness off that, you're like, oh.
So this just allows you to like use your resources that you've already used again, and also that you have so much versatility in ways that you can discard cards with your Violin or your corner that we're about to get to, that you can really take advantage of a Yodel Patrice.
Yeah. One thing I don't like about Yodel and Patrice is that the second ability has been added to once per phase.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like incorrect to not do it at every opportunity.
That is actually very true, because you could always hit the Watcher. Yeah.
Hitting your weakness is so much better than hitting random garbage.
Yeah,
skill card.
No, that is actually very true.
It's kind of annoying.
That
I'm
would
pretty
be
sure it's every phase.
Yeah, it's limit once per phase now.
Yeah.
We have Recall of the Future, which is kind of like you lucky a token. You're like, this token, it's a lucky. It gets +2. Or you unexpected courage a token would be the better way of putting that.
Yeah, like these assets that you can just dump into play and then they just do a thing for you are very nice for Patrice.
Yeah. We have Try and Try Again. Copy what I said about the first one, but limited number of tries.
Yeah, one less brain symbol.
Yeah, and one less brain symbol. We have Cornered, which is one of the first linchpins of a Patrice archetype that you can build, Cornered Patrice. Mm-hmm. It's just you discard a card from your hand, you get +2 skill value for the skill test. Thank God we don't care about the cards in our hand, and them just being unexpected courage is nice. Yeah. On Your Own, I actually think an On Your Own Patrice also could be a really fun time. Obviously, the permanent version is better, but as Travis said, you could start with this one, because you're likely to kind of find it, and Patrice can also still get by if she's not getting that reduction by 2 on her events.
The permanent one was better?
No, about the finding a card, a one of in your deck.
Oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, no, wait, I didn't say that.
Yeah. If you want to get really spicy, just if you're building a down the rabbit hole Patrice with your desperate skills on your own in the thick of it, get this in your starting deck and then you upgrade it for only 2 experience. Is that good? No, but you could. We have Alter Fate, which just removes a non-weakness treachery card in play. If it doesn't do that, it's also just a wild icon, which is nice.
I mean, like, for the On Your Own thing, if you're like, if you already wanted to play On Your Own and Desperate Patrice together, like, I guess.
And I mean, like, you also feasibly could build an upgrading down the rabbit hole pretty easily, too.
Yeah, there's a couple cards you can include in that.
Yeah. But I do think On Your Own Patrice is really nice, especially in that Dark Horse Patrice we were talking about, because then you just don't need to worry about your events costing you money.
Yeah. No, that's true. I do think that the down rabbit hole Patrice is a little bit awkward, though.
I believe that.
It's like a lot of the cards that are really important for her are just like cards you upgrade into. Yeah. And like Corner and you Catastrophe and like Alter Fate's very powerful, but...
And realistically, when you're doing down the rabbit hole, you're trying to take advantage of the Mystic card pool, not so much the Survivor card pool. Because the Survivor card pool, you're like, oh boy.
It's pretty sick with Lucky.
Yeah, you can buy 1 for 1 and then 1 for 1.
And also...
or 0. The next one's the...
Look what I found.
Yep.
and Pete.
The only downside is
That's
that
what I can think
the
of.
only downside is then you're like, well, I have no more cards to buy. All right, Travis, we're going on to Circle.
Yeah, hey, it's non-existence. You just throw this at anything.
Yep,
Literally
anything. The first thing.
The first negative thing that happens to you, you're like, nope.
Yep. And if nothing bad happens to you, congratulations. You got +1 to a skill.
Yeah, someone got close to a skill test. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Prophesize. This one is a different unexpected courage. Good
Yep.
card for Patrice. Able-bodied. This one's like, you have to like consider your deck plan a little bit when you put it in, but still solid for her. It's definitely possible to like only have the violin as your only potential item, and then this is always worth 3 fists and 3 foot, which is a nice place to be.
Yeah. Question. Is this guy aware that he's throwing the spear not at the monster behind him, or is the monster like empowering him? It's like, congratulations, you will be all powerful.
He's a warlock. This
That's
is
his.
patron.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. Okay. Good. That's what I thought too, but I didn't want to assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have Sign Magic. This is something that can go in your hand, and then you can have an extra arcane slot.
Yep.
Which, like, sometimes you want those.
Yeah, definitely.
Down here we have Wither and Sixth Sense. You can't play the upgrade ones, but you can still play these and use your brain instead of your shitty skill.
I've seen a lot of people run Sixth Sense in Patrice, and it obviously does the work because it allows you to just basic investigate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And Wither is like, if there's a deck I'm gonna play level 0 Wither in, it's probably Patrice.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
We got Tennessee Sour Mash. You can play this on the red side. That gives you, again, this is just one of those things that you like. Either you commit to a test, and if you don't, you just like play it and let it sit and play until you need the thing.
Yep.
It's a good card for her. Trial by Fire lets you make one of your bad skills good, or gives someone +1 to the test. That one single wild mark on the side puts in so much work on so many cards.
Yep. Yeah. If you're like, why is this card here? The text box is relevant, but the wild card is even more relevant.
The wild symbol is like what makes it playable, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
If this like committed for a fist or something like that, I'd be like,
Yeah. This ain't seeing our notable cards for Patrice video.
Yeah,
no way.
maybe not. 4 Cups gives you +1 brain. Wow.
Wow. It's a tarot. So this is
Yeah.
All right. Why don't you finish this one, then I'll take Dream Eaters.
Sure.
Yeah.
That sounds good. We got Banish here. This lets you use your brain instead of one of your other stats for a thing. Wow. This is also one of the ones that it cares about you drawing one of the bad symbols. And that it keeps it from readying. Also, like, man, every time I read this card, I'm, like, impressed by it, and I continue to not play
Same.
it.
Actually, today, I was even like, man, this card's actually kind of sick.
Read it, I'm like, any location in play, my god. You just send him to the other side of the moon.
Wow, yeah, holy crap. That card actually is really sick.
Yeah, you use that, like, in the second half of Dark Side of the Moon, like, that hunting Byakuya or whatever, he's gone forever, basically.
Yeah, we gotta play this card more.
Yeah. We have upgraded Tennessee Sour Mash. Fills the same role as the base one. It's just, like, better. More flexible. Fortune or Fate is,
Play it when Doom is placed on a scenario card.
Yes.
And then
that's it.
Congratulations, you've done it.
You've done it.
And that's our guide on Fortune or Fate.
Yeah. Patrice plays a really good Deja Vu deck, actually. Huh?
Yeah, she does.
And we have View Catastrophe. This card is very notable for being able to, again, avoid your weaknesses. So you just, when you draw this card, I mean, I guess you can commit it to as an unexpected courage if you really need to, but for the most part, you're just going to want to run your face into an evasion or investigation test that you have no chance of passing.
Yeah.
So you can play this, pretend you drew the star, and then shuffle everything except for the Watcher back into your deck.
Yeah. Yeah, like the moments where you would commit this is obviously like if you drew it on like the second turn and you have like your deck's full.
Yeah, or like you're like at the end of the game and you're like, well, if our Guardian kills this guy, we just win, so...
Yes, yeah. All right. We're on to Dream Eaters. We have Open Gate. This card is kind of fun and funky. It allows people to move between all locations with they're connected if they have Open Gate. The thing that makes it really nice is that you're going to see them more likely in Patrice.
That's not a dog. That has wings.
Yeah, I know, eh?
That's a bat.
Well, it's a Tindalos, so it's one of them weird dogs.
That's not a dog.
It's a hound of Tindalos.
No. I don't think so. Yeah.
So it's like, hey, I'm gonna bring my dog to the party. Is that okay? It's like, yeah, we're having a barbecue outside. We love it. And then it comes with like, that's not a dog.
They look outside and your dog is in the air carrying off someone else's dog, and they're like,
you're like, yeah, it's my dog.
what the hell is that?
We have Fortuitous Discovery, which works in Patrice nicely because it costs X. It's myriad, so you get 3. And the X is number of other copies of Fortuitous Discovery in your discard pile. Investigate, you get plus X books, and you discover X additional clues to your location. So the third one, which is like the peak Fortuitous Discovery, costs 3, gets you plus 3 book, and gives you 3 additional clues. 3 additional clues, so it gets you 4 clues. There's a lot of ways that things need to like line up for this to truly hit its apex, but it is still just a nice card that you can consider running in Patrice.
Hounds of Tindalos don't have wings, man. I'm looking at it, they don't have wings.
I like the dog, like how he's behaving himself, and then he just like fucking is like, I don't want to behave myself anymore.
Yeah, this guy's got a lot of things, but none of them are wings.
That's a fucked up dog. Read the signs and spectral razors. They're 2 staples. They investigate and attack, adding your brain to your stats. So adding your good stat to your not good stat usually means a good stat. And when it's all said and done,
I hope so, man.
I hope so. Yeah. Otherwise, don't. But Patrice, you can, because 6 is a very good number for read the signs, because you don't even need to throw this on like a high shroud location. Just expediting your clue getting process is a win for read the signs. Likewise with spectral razor, just like nuking something is good, especially if it has like 3 health and like 3 attack. Just be like, see you later, punk.
Yeah, we've mentioned it before, and it's not like about getting the best value out of your cards like it is for a lot of investigators, just getting value, any amount of value.
Then we have Ethereal Form, which is the evade version of it, but it doesn't actually evade them. Instead, you become the evasion. You turn into a ghost.
Wow, spooky, scary Patrice.
Yeah. I think it's also still good in Patrice for the same reasons the other ones is. And it commits for 2 different symbols, so it's always relevant.
It combos so good with infighting, Justin. You engage all the enemies, and then you don't get hit, and then the next turn your team moves away, and then you just leave.
Yeah. Bye. We have Moonstone, which is very nice in Patrice. Because it's just like, it's a brain and a foot. You can outplay or commit it from your hand, but after you discard it from your hand...
If only you had a way to discard it.
Yeah, if only there was something built into your kit, like other survivors. Wait a minute. Yeah, just boosting your brain, and also your foot is nice. Stargazing. I actually realized I did not put the stars are right here. But
I also noticed that.
Yeah, when you draw it, it
actually doesn't matter, though.
Yeah. When you draw it, it allows an investigator, because it goes into the encounter deck, when someone draws it, they take an action, gain a resource, and maybe draw a card, I don't know. But it replaces the Mythos card for them for the turn. And what's nice about Patrice is you just don't think. You either commit it or you just play it.
Yeah, you just play it the first 2 times you draw it, and then after that you commit it for a while, and you stop thinking about it.
Because, like, with other investigators, like, if you're running this as, like, you're, like, you know, Akachi's like, I can do something really good, like, I can investigate, get a bunch of clues. And Patrice is like...
5 clairvoyance this time. Patrice is like...
I play Stargazing, and then I'm going to discard some cards to corner.
Some indeterminate point in the future, one of you will get a bonus.
Yeah. Summon Hound, this is the... title of the Summoned Hound Patrice deck. So when it comes into as an additional cost to play it,
a dog. Look at the tongue.
You need to shuffle. You shuffle one of these Unbound Beasts into your deck, and eventually your dog goes nuts. However, calling in favors, you put it into play from your discard pile. So it's not like are actually not like, or it's like it returns some like the wording on. Let me get the actual wording, because there's an important distinction for people wondering how the hell that works. Chance encounter. It's 2 experience. Yeah. So choose an ally. Yeah, I was right. You put that into play under your control. So you do not play it, but it's put into play under your control, which means that the Summon Hound comes into play, but does not have to shovel a bonded card into your deck. Which means you get an action. You get a lightning bolt a turn where you can investigate or fight at a skill value of 5.
That'd be bad if it wasn't a lightning bolt.
It would be very bad if it wasn't.
It also takes up an arcane slot and an ally slot. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do think the Patrice deck, like, so with the Patrice deck, when you're doing Summon Hound, you're not building around your spell slots, apart from
your ally slot.
And what you do instead is it's a quick learner deck, so then you get, like, 2 tests a turn when they're -2 difficulty.
Yeah, okay.
It's very powerful, but, like, you kind of just, like, sit on your hands until you get the combo, and then you're like, I got the doggy.
I can play the game now, guys.
All right, Travis. Oh, the cats.
It's the cats. Yeah. Russell left.
Yeah, Russ. The cats are on screen.
Miss Doyle is a card you can only play one of in your deck, but you will see her eventually. More likely see her if you play Flare. She comes to play, you search your bonded cards for these 3 other cats, Hope, Zeal, and Augur. Put 1 into play, and then that you get to pick, and then you shuffle the other 2 into your deck. If you ever lose Miss Doyle, all the other cats go away, so like protect her. As if you need a reason to protect the cute kitty, but... No. And then all of the cats commit for like some combination of symbols that aren't the one that they do. That's some nice design symmetry. They're all fast to play and cost 1. After it enters play, you have to discard the other 2 if you have them in play. I'm not sure how you would ever have them in play.
Well, that's definitely a safety valve that they have like somehow like they're like one day someone's gonna do this. They're gonna break one of our rules, and now haha, you suck. You don't get to.
I mean, like they already just make up the rules whenever they feel like it. They'll just be like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like. Anyway, and then they all have an action that if they are ready, you can either exhaust or discard them to evade, fight, or investigate with a base, foot, fist, or book value of 5. And then if you discarded the cat, then the test is automatically successful. In addition, you get to shuffle that cat, that cat into your deck to either put one of the other 2 cats into play from your discard pile. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, there's a lot for these kitty cats.
And the reason that they're good for Patrice is because those 3 stats of yours are all garbage. These represent +3 to that. In addition to potential automatic successes, you can really churn through the cats very quickly as they go back into your deck. You draw lots of cards from your deck. You're going to see them quite often. And also, you have no issue with discarding them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next up, we have 3 more. Man, they really... 3 more cards that are basically the same card. They all cost 1 experience. They're skills. They commit for a fist, foot, and book. And if they're committed to a basic either fight, evade, or investigate action, they gain 2 fist, 2 foot, or 2 book icons, respectively. And also the text that if the skill test is successful by 2 or more, the fight 1 deals +2 damage. The foot 1 lets you evade an additional enemy at your location. And the book 1 gets you an additional clue. These are fantastic cards for Patrice to have and commit to other people's tests.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. They also play very well with other cards or other skills and just like the random garbage cards you have in your deck.
Yep.
It is a little bit tough to get to the succeed by 2 for Patrice, which is why they're better as sort of a support card, but they're still very good for...
Yeah, I mean, like, if you're running cornered, those, like, an unexpected courage to them as well will help you most likely
puts you up to, like, because these get you up to 5 for the basic actions.
Yeah, so then you'll be at 7.
Yeah, that's reasonably comfortable.
Yeah.
We have Mind's Eye, which is one of the... it's like the only investor who can play this card.
Yeah.
Cost 2 experience, 3 resources, myriad, so you get 3 copies of it. You can add to your deck for the 2 experience.
You'll want to do that.
Yeah, you're gonna want to have all 3 of them probably. As a reaction, when you would test your book, fist, or foot, you can spend one of the 3 secrets to test your brain instead. And then, as a lightning bolt, you can discard a copy of Mind's Eye from your hand, place 2 secrets on this copy of Mind's Eye. Takes up 2 arcane slots, which is kind of absurd to be honest, but. Yeah, so you just get to keep throwing away your Mind's Eyes. You can use your brain on the rare occasions that the game asks you to test something different. And you get to see your other copies of Mind's Eye very frequently because you're churning through your deck so fast. And then you just get to keep using the one that you have.
I love the design on this one in Spiritual Resolve. The one where it's like you get 1 and you just make it Apex. Like I think those are fun designs for Myriad.
I do think they're fun. I just wish it didn't take up 2 arcane slots.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of silly, but... And then we have the Black Cat, a Lyra Proffer both. This is the King of Soak. It also comes for 2 wilds for when you see your second copy or whatever, but yeah, again, we talked about cards that are great for Patrice to just put into play and forget about, and the Black Cat does that.
Yep.
It also plays very, very nicely with those mystic spells that give you a bonus for drawing the symbol tokens. where you can just be like, yeah, I drew Tombstone, but like also it's not going to be -4 for this test. It's going to be -1, and the cat takes a damage.
Yeah.
And then, oh man, and you're playing Catastrophe. You can just heal the cat whenever you want, man.
Yeah, yeah. Patrice is one of the weird ones too, where the black cat like actually kind of conflicts because like you're like a lot of people are like press the cat button.
Yeah.
Patrice actually might have to make a tough choice, which is interesting. Makes the card a little bit more
But also
dynamic.
+5, man.
Yeah, +5 is a big number.
Yeah, this is a nightmare problem.
It's in our staple videos.
Yeah, you see lots of dream parasites, which sucks, but like, also not failing is good.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
Yeah. Okay, we were in Innsmouth? Yes. For a detailed breakdown of the Bless and Curse cards, you can check the description in the video for the relevant archetype guide.
She doesn't play very main good.
No.
At all.
No.
She plays the Survivor one okay, but
yeah, but it's...
the mystic stuff she has does not contribute very well to it.
Yeah, you kind of just have to, like, once again, because you're kind of just improvising turn to turn, that doesn't really fit the Blessed archetype. I mean, yeah. She can't really...
I mean, like, she does the Blessed Covenant, or the... what's it called? Ancient Covenant?
Ancient Covenant, which is, yeah, varies, yeah.
Because you just, whenever you draw the sun thing, you just throw it out there, and you're like,
oh, I've done it.
Yeah, then you just wait until you have a test you need to pass, and then whenever you draw your test of faith or whatever. I mean, no, she plays it pretty okay. She gets value out of the, like, Signum Crucifix.
Yeah, now that it's not experienced in the taboo list, that helps it out a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's definitely people who do it better, but she can still...
Yeah, if you're really selling on it, then, like, it'll be functional.
Yeah, I think, at this point you could build a Blessed deck with anyone because you just take all the cards and jam them in the deck.
I hope we get some more cards because I'm tired of playing the same ones.
I'm sure we will one day in like 4 years. Promise of Power though, it's just a staple. It's a good fucking card. It kills it. 4 to a skill, either you or someone else.
Man, like...
Sword Cane allows you to use your brain to fight and evade. That's good.
Brain is in place of other stat.
Yep. Mariner's Compass, it goes with the Dark Horse package, but it also could just work to just also investigate if you're not even Dark Horse. You're just like, hey, I have 3 resources. I want to get +3 and get an additional clue because I have no resources in my resource pool.
Yep.
It's obviously better if you build around it, but it's also just a functional clue-getting tool.
Yep.
We have Abyssal Tome, which allows you to fight with your brain. Or your book, but probably your brain.
Yeah, it says brain instead of different skills, so, it's here.
So you can place 1 Doom on it to get +1 skill value and deal +1 damage with its attack. And then you can make the fish book bigger and stronger and more powerful. It's a way to kill. Especially it's very good like when it comes to boss fights too. You can just be like, charge up your laser.
I love the art on cards like these where they're like obviously just some art from some old like Call of Cthulhu RPG book or whatever that they had laying around. They had the rights to, and they're like, yeah, just like zoom in and stick it in there.
Yeah,
it's got a fish and it's got a book. We'll call it Abyssal Tome. Stick it in the Innsmouth expansion, and we've done it.
Easy peasy. I would love to just like them like as they were designing the game, just going through their slush art and like all their art collection and just being like, this card's this card, this card's this. Look at this. This is so cool. This is gonna be Abyssal Tome fish book. Yeah. Actually, Abyssal Tome is going to get a huge improvement with Scarlet Keys when it comes out, and I think that would make it actually much more viable in Patrice because you'll have so many tools to take advantage of it that you're going to see more and quicker than other Doom decks will. Butterfly Effect, it's Silas, but in card.
It commits for a while, and sometimes it does a different thing.
Yeah, so you can basically commit or return a skill test.
Yeah,
skill card from the test.
It plays really well with those ones from the Dream Years. The
Brutes. The
Brute Force and Expedition Retreat. Yeah, those ones.
Yeah. Third time's a charm is Wendy on a card.
Yeah.
It commits for pretty much every symbol, though, as well. Yep. So, like, that also helps it. But I think this card is also just, like, nice when you really want to pass a test. Like, when you're like, a test is really important.
When an investigator your location wants to pass tests.
Yeah, because once again, with you, you're kind of just like, I guess I'll pass this, investigate. Because I'm Patrice. We have Dig Deep, which allows you to spend resources on it, and they replenish each rounder from your resource pool to get brain or foot. more good.
Yeah, you dump it in the play, forget about it.
Yep. And then we have Purifying Corruption.
You can read this one.
4
Justin.
cost, 4 experience, commits for a wild, so that's why it's here probably for reason number 1.
Oh, are you committing your 4 experience cards for a while?
When you draw a non-weakness
Plus
treachery, take 1 damage, 1 horror. Cancel the card's revelation effect and place 1 resource without its corruption. If this has 3 or more corruption, remove from the game. Draw the top card of the encounter deck, either heal 1 damage, 1 horror, or remove 1 corruption from this card.
Would you like to hear why I think this card is good in Patrice?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so you use it on turns when you draw bad cards to eat them, and then on the turns when you do draw your warrior protections and test wills, you just heal this.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets you like extra flexibility out of those cards. Like it makes those cards be able to cancel something in the future, or in the past, I guess, instead of being worth like +1 now.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then also, like, if you get in your hand and you don't have 4 resources, it's still active as a wild card.
Yeah, it still does a thing.
All right, Travis, on to Edge of the Earth.
Yeah, we have Down the Rabbit Hole because Patrice could play purple cards, and this is a purple card, and we talked about it before.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly forgot.
Really
even though I made these slides this morning, I forgot it was here.
I also wasn't certain it'd be here. Because talking about it, I kind of talked myself down on it. But... oh, yeah, Dragon Pull here. This lets you fight without using your arcane slots. Yeah. If at least 2 of your arcane slots filled, deals +1 damage. Like, sure, it's a nice way to get arcane slots, and you can bonk stuff, little enemies, or like realistically puts you up to 4, and then like a skill card pushes you over the top. It's fine, I guess.
The only downside is that you lose your violin, but she gives up the life of music for the life of hitting people with a big stick.
Hit with stick.
Yeah.
We have meditative trance here. This is just some healing.
Yeah.
It's fine for Priest. It's pretty easy to fill up your arcane slots, especially if you're playing Mind's Eye.
Yeah, it's just, this is like with Mind's Eye, it's just, hey, I'm gonna heal this.
Yeah, heal 2.
Yeah.
For 2. It's like not great. Yeah, short supply here. If you're playing lots of cards that like to be in your discard pile, or ways to get them out, this is a nice inclusion.
Or if you just want to be a baller and hit the Watcher.
Yes, also you can just like I think it's probably right to play this just so you don't have, unless your deck is built around like a singular card.
Yeah, it's probably just an easy inclusion and just been like the 1 of 8 games I hit him, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, you should be, it's like 1.5.
Yeah, and I mean, like realistically, if then you just also play like 1 copy of Winging It.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna also if you want to play around it, like Resourceful wasn't here because Resourceful isn't great with Patrice.
It's
right?
not.
But you could even with Short Supply if you were like trying to do that. But yeah, like it's not great.
Your Patrice deck, most of your cards are already disposable.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point. So like, who cares? Like, I would always dump 9 to 10 of them for the chance I'm gonna hit weakness.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Schaffner's Catalog is again one of those things you just play when you have the opportunity, and then it sits there and helps you later, or helps other investigators by paying for things. Bandages is a really solid healing option. I think that this was one of the decks that I built, or one of the guides I built before we played with all the...
Because all the cards are here?
Yes, and it was like, this is probably acceptable.
There are a lot of cards in the Edge of the Earth one here.
Yeah. Bandages is just like a good card. Again, you just play it, and then you forget about it, and it sits in play.
Yeah.
It's good. Jury Rig, very similar thing. You just dump it on someone's item, and then it gives them +2 skill value 3 times.
But it also commits for a fist and a foot. A fist and a book too.
Yeah.
Which is not
those
nothing.
are the symbols.
Yeah.
Talisman of Protection. And hey, look, it's another thing you just play, and then it does a thing. Great, man. Yeah. Enchanted Bow. Hey, that's another card. Let's use your brain instead of a different stat.
I do kind of I like this Enchanted Bow Patrice idea though. That does sound like a fun time.
Yeah, this card's pretty solid in spite of all the slots it takes up.
Yeah,
I think it's quite flexible and strong.
All right, let's keep Edge of the Earth going. We have Earthly Serenities 1 and 4. Heal with your brain. Heal with your brain. Yep. Gives you something to do,
good.
and then also you can, like, commit. Like, Patrice is very possible to get, like, all 6 charges on Earthly Serenity 4 at once.
Yeah.
You know, she's cornered. She has, like, this, I'm not going to play this Guts or, like, this other thing. Let's just
I don't
go.
have anything else to do this turn.
Yeah.
I'll commit 4 cards.
Gather
next
around
turn.
me. I am the healing fountain. And everyone's like, yay. Hit me. It's a lucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lucky that sometimes hits and sometimes auto fails.
I heard you say that you've never passed.
I actually on Monday I played this card and I drew the skull. I think I it's just very unlucky. I just gotta like be like, hit me doesn't work for me. Yeah. Foresight, which I actually need to read. So when investigate location would draw a card with the encounter deck, name a card. If the drawn card is a name card, it commits for 2 book.
It commits for 2 book and does another thing. You're correct.
Yep. Foresight. We have Parallel Fates. This actually combos with Foresight.
Yeah.
If you get them both on the same turn.
I think this card's actually like pretty solid in general.
I think so too. It's a 0 cost, 2 experience. Look at the top 6 cards of the Investigator's deck or the Encounter deck. You may either return that talk on the deck in any order, or shuffle them into that deck. So this allows you to potentially like, obviously look at the Mythos deck is very strong. Like being able to just like take the top 6. But if you want to, you could just say, hey, I'm gonna dig for the Watcher, and look at him, and then shuffle him into my deck, or put him 6 deep.
Yeah.
However, it also commits for a Brain and a Wild. Yeah.
What I know about Foresight is like it is good when you or someone on your team just gets crippled by a certain encounter card.
Yes.
It's the rogue's turn, and you're like, I'm just gonna throw this out.
Yeah.
To eat Frozen in Fear,
Yeah.
or like those situations where we're like, the only way we lose is if we draw 2 Ancient Evils this turn. We draw 1, we're like,
I would love. No, they get to choose. Damn, I was gonna say cancel. Stars are right. Burn After Reading is a very, very, very strong card. It's commits for a wild on its
really
baseline,
good.
but also just discovers 2 clues, and you exile a 0 to 5 card from your hand. If you exile 2 or level higher, you get to also remove a Doom from the current agenda. Yeah. As Travis said, the Deja Vu deck is very good for Patrice, and we'll touch on what that card is when we see it later on. Plucky is very good in Patrice. It's fast.
All the symbols and stat boosts.
Yeah, and then if you already have one in play, you can just commit it for like the symbols on the card. But you can send resources to bump your book in your brain, and you get a bunch of horror and meat soak in the process. Then we got Sled Dog and Rod of Animalism.
Yeah.
I understand why they're here, because you'll probably see all 4 of them.
Yep.
And
one of the issues with the Sled Dog deck is that it takes so long to get them all into play and stuff
Yep.
like that, and Patrice gets to skip that a little bit.
yeah.
Or expedite it, rather, not skip.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a fun thing if you want to do it, to say that you've built Sled Dog Patrice. I think she is capable of doing it. Is she good?
I think she's one of the better users of it.
This is actually when I was putting this card in too, I was thinking that even just like if you never attack with the dogs, like
You just use it to move like 4 times.
it would actually be very beneficial, because as we're saying, Patrice hates moving, right? Even just 2 sled dogs are probably good value for her, right?
Yep.
All right, Travis, finish off Edge of the Earth.
Oh, yeah, Fend Off. This is fast, and you play when a non-elite enemy spawns at your location. The enemy attacks you, then you can automatically evade the enemy and attach Fend Off to it. The attached enemy cannot ready. Commits for 2 feet. When it's not relevant, when it is relevant, it like kills an enemy.
My favorite is when you fend off an enemy in horror and high gear with this, and then they just don't hunt,
And then it's just live and play forever.
yeah, and then it's just like a long road, and the guy's like rah, 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 rah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Man, that guy's arms are messed up.
Yeah, no.
He didn't do a very good job fending that guy.
Because that's Kelvin, right? Yeah, that's Kelvin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kelly, but he's like, think of how powerful I'm becoming with these wounds, and everyone's like, Kelvin, we worry about you.
You like see the muscles like bulging.
Yeah.
The cuts in his arms, and people are like, oh.
Yeah, like you can see my muscles. I'm so strong. No, we gotta take you to the doctor.
It's an infection, Calvin. We have Brand of Cthugga, Divination, Blur. These are all spells that let you use your brain instead of a different skill for a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have Precious Memento. These are a great way to never die. Especially if you're gonna play like Relic Hunter and have both of them play, and then like whenever you succeed a skill test by 2, you get to heal a horror and the damage, and whenever you fail a skill test by 2 or more, you get to heal a horror and the damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have Perfects, our last one. This one commits for... I guess like the other ones are probably also fine, but most of the cards that Patrice plays are gonna... are like Fortunes and Spells and Spirits. Those are all very popular card subtypes for Mystic and Survivor cards.
Yeah. If you're playing a combat Patrice, I think Brando Gathuga would work really well for her because you don't waste charges if you miss, and it also is 1 cheaper, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it makes it much more reliable for you to be able to put it into play.
Yeah, no, I think the Brando Gathuga is a very good choice for her. I think the Divination is a solid choice for her. Like most cases, I think you're probably going to want to prefer Rite of Seeking, but it's still fine.
Yeah,
if you don't want to like spend the experience on it.
Yeah, and ultimately, like, why not both? Because by the time one's empty, you're going to have the other one in hand.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. We are through Edge of the Earth.
The Return Twos.
The Returns Twos. We have Arcane Studies and Dig Deep, the level 2 versions of each of them. They commit for a bunch of symbols, but also now they are 0 to put into play, which makes it a lot easier for if you just see them in your hand, you just take the action and go, let's go.
Yep.
Yeah. We have Rite of Seeking 2. Remember how I said that we would see hours later that they're the level 2 versions of these cards? We're here.
An hour later.
Yeah. Just basically more gives you a brain boost.
Oh, you were right.
And no, I was a bit off. Dunwich was at 12 minutes. So
okay. You were like 7 minutes off?
Yeah. But Rite of Seeking, it gives you +2 brain now, which makes it much more likely for you to succeed.
Yeah.
Rise to the Occasion, the level 3 version.
Yep.
It now has, if I remember, all right.
It commits for 2 base instead of 1.
Yeah.
And then
it gets +X wild icons, where X is the difference in your base skill and this test's difficulty.
Yeah, and the skill test just has to be higher than your base skill, not too higher.
Yeah, so that's a lot easier to like just get it going.
Yeah, it's another card that's like real solid for Patrice. You get to some real high numbers with this.
Hell yeah. Upgraded Mists, basically kind of like more better Mists. Easy as that. Alter Fate, it's a less good version of the level 3 version, but...
significantly less good.
Yeah, but it also still commits, and if you're like having a stop-off point, it's still fine to do. Like if you're planning on getting them, and you have 1 experience, you can just put it into Alter Fate 1.
Yeah, it goes real nice with Arcane Research.
Yeah.
To bump it up to the level 3 version for free.
Mm-hmm. We have On Your Own. This is the permanent version, so it's exceptional. Basically, that means it just starts in play.
Yep.
Which is nice, because even though Patrice can find it, if your deck's going to be building around On Your Own, now you don't even need to think about it. Mm-hmm. 9 of Rods. I really like 9 of Rods, and I think it's nice in Patrice. Basically, it's a tarot card, so it follows the tarot rules, where it's in your opening hand, you put it into play, and then when you draw a non-weakness encounter card, you can cancel that card's effect, shuffle into the deck, then draw another card for the top of the encounter deck. It's basically like mulliganing a card, being like, I don't want to fight this Gug. I want a brain test. Oh, good, a brain test.
Yeah, that's pretty handy for Patrice. Sometimes you end up with a handful like book symbols, and then you draw like a foot encounter card, and you're like, nah.
Yeah, I'll try again. Yeah. Thank you. Trial by Fire, you set the base value of each of your skills to 5, or the base value of one of your skills to 7. Seven's a big number.
7's a really big number.
And that's a base skill value, so you still get any modifications on it as well. Yeah. Also commits for 2 wilds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we have 1 card left, and you thought we were done with the Return to boxes, didn't you, viewers at home? We have the Moon Pendant. So if you're going to build around tarot cards, you can do this. However, it also just makes all of your tarot cards an Unexpected Courage.
Yeah, this one plays really well with the red tarot card.
The bad one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because you put in your deck and then it's Unexpected Courage.
Yeah, I paid for this as an Unexpected Courage, baby. But I mean, if it's in your opening hand, you could just like put it into play and be like, I'll get my moon one out, my good one out eventually.
Yeah.
We hope.
Yeah.
All right. Player boxes. Sorry, the Investigator Decks.
Investigator Decks, yep. Reserve Flame, Ineffable Truth, Clairvoyance are just other options to use your brain instead of one of your other skills. 18 Derringer and Old Keyring both fulfill similar niches for Patrice, where they let you investigate. I guess they're like a little bit different. The Old Keyring is basically the flashlight but red.
Yeah.
And it doesn't punish you for drawing the auto-fail quite as hard. And then 18 Derringer gives you +2, and if you fail, you just get your ammo back, so you get to keep trying it until you shoot the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Granny Orn is a very good ally for Patrice, though. Mm-hmm. The level 0 version depicted here, it costs 4 to play, gives you +1 range, stat that you want. At level 0 is very nice for her. There actually are David Renfield's the only purple ally at level 0 that gives you +1 brain.
Yep.
So.
Not anymore, baby!
Nope. Not because they printed another one.
Nope.
But when Investigator location would fail a skill test, you can exhaust her to have them fail by either one less or one more. This can be nice to use with, like, look what I found, stuff like that to kind of bump you up on higher shroud locations. We have Test Will level 0. Play with Investigator location draws a non-weakness treachery card. And then you test Brain 3, which is your good stat, so you should be able to pass Brain tests.
Yeah.
And if you succeed, cancel that card's Revelation effect. Definitely here to be upgraded, but the level 0 version, there's nothing wrong with it.
Man, actually it's kind of neat. If you're doing a down the rabbit hole Patrice deck, and you just upgrade into level 1 version, use it, you get this one back for free, because you're not adding a new card into your deck, and you can just upgrade it for free and just start, like, the passive, like...
I guess, yeah. We have our level 2 Grotesque statue. It's an option for our hand slots. Lets you see 2 Chaos tokens instead of 1. Pick 1 to resolve instead of the other one.
Yep.
Nice for passing tests. And then we have upgraded Guts. +1 brain.
More brain, more card.
Yep.
Yep. We have the upgraded Granny Orange. She gives you +1 book now, which is nice because she kind of effectively gives you +2 book if you haven't used her this turn yet.
Yeah, but that's not why you're upgrading her.
No, you're upgrading her for the turning
Reaction.
it into a half of a lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Test of Will 0. It's you cancel the card's effect, cost 0, and then test Brain 3. If you fail, then you exile it. Otherwise, it just goes into your discard pile like a normal
Level 2
card.
Test Will is so good, dude.
Oh yeah, it's a very good card. Upgraded Look What I Found is skilled by fail by 3 or less, which is really nice because it really opens up clue getting for Patrice, because now you can look at 3 shroud locations and think, I can fail my way through that.
Yep.
I could fuck up enough to make this work. The upgraded Derringer. It's like the other one, except now every time you fail, you get +1 additional fists. So it's 4 the first time, but 5 the second time. Wow.
You also get an extra bullet.
You do also get an extra bullet, yeah. We have the level 3 Lucky, which notably the level 2 Lucky wasn't here. And it's because like the level 1 and level 2 Lucky isn't really a big difference for
Especially,
Patrice.
for Patrice. Like, drawing the card draw thing isn't
Matter
great for Patrice. That's like actually... The Investigator drawing a card off level 3 Lucky is exceptionally good for Patrice, because you can give a card to someone else.
And this one, it's like the level 2 Water Protection. You can just fire it off and be like, no, you passed.
Someone's like, I'll basic investigate. You're like, no, you got it, man. They're like, okay.
I'll commit this, like, but I committed my take card. And you're like,
You shouldn't have done that, should you?
Yeah. And then we have Deja Vu. So between 2 scenarios, you reduce the experience cost to repurchase up to 3 cards you exiled for the last scenario by 1 each. If you're doing the exile mechanic, play Deja Vu. Try it out with Patrice.
Yeah, fun.
All right, on to the deck. Travis.
This is a pile of cards, man.
It is. It's a lot of cards.
So, looking at the assets that I've chosen, we have Granny Orange as the ally, +1 brain on level 0 allies is quite nice. Moonstone is the accessory that I chose to go with, because you're going to see it. It's easy to play.
Yep.
I generally don't like playing more than 1 Moonstone Patrice, because you can't commit it for anything. We have Sixth Sense for investigating. Sword Cane is our option for like fighting garbage enemies and evading them. And the Tendency Sour Mash, I think, was just kind of a throw-in to fill in the other Moonstone slot.
Yeah.
Event-wise, we have it's just a pile of good events, man.
Yeah, Look What I Found, Test of Will, Drawn to the Flame.
Yeah, like Quantum Flux is good specifically for Patrice. The rest of them are just good cards in their colors.
Yeah.
And then there's a big pile of skills that commit for wilds and brains, and sometimes other things too.
And as we said earlier, Look at Premonition snuck its way in there. It's just easy card to get in. Yep.
Yeah, like you look at this deck and it looks like just a pile of stuff, but that's how a lot of Patrice decks, especially at level 0, look.
Yeah. Even like when you get to the higher experience, you're like, oh, I see where your 30 experience is, and then there's a bunch of your level 0 decks still in here. Yeah. Because she has 42 cards in her deck.
So many.
That's a lot of cards. Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's another expanded guide in the books. Huge thank you to everyone who watched on YouTube, and also to all of our patrons for supporting the channel. Thank you so much. We appreciate your support. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.